Really? Just thought about it.
You laughing at?
Did that hurt your ears?
Nope, because I turned it down. I knew that's why you do that on purpose. Yep. We will trust that. I've seen that shit.
Yo, Jay. Yo, Jay. Yo, you gonna have to wake up, son. They waiting on you.
A truth to fire, abusive liar to my youth expired. Used and tired, soul begging for a new provider. I fornicated head first into a pool of fire like a scuba diver, and wore more rubber than an average Uber driver's use of tires. A tiny pint, eating Mike and Ike's, riding bikes and flying kites in Clayton County, smacking dudes when they surround me, smoking weed and vacant housing. Folks in GTA be clowning, open season chasing bounties, hoping we can make it out. I spit for Christ and never sympathize. Flow is holy oil, more breezy than flipping burgers and dipping fries. Hero murders, I'm ripping guys. I eat so many fake rappers in my sleep. When I wake up, I be a different size. Gonna need a tutor trying to decipher through these witty lines. Couldn't be the future if you was my Kai Pfeiffer in his freaking prime. The devil's a freaking loser, him and all of his demon troopers. I tell him to eat the Ruger if ever he mention mine. Christian rappers dissing Christian rappers, dissing peers. In the end we can promise I would never disappear. Like Jay Gibbons chin, what's the mission in? Set the city on fire with more matches than some infant twins. I'm a fresh early comer, ain't stopping till my neck's buried under 1,000 pounds of wet dirt and lumber. I'm on my way to that Golden State and this is part 3. Guess I'm going 3-0 like Steph Curry number. Y'all think it's my best, y'all wrong. I've been slept on longer than a 2-star hotel bed with the headboard going and sweat all on it. I done reached out to y'all like I'm Stretch Armstrong, but y'all looking at me sideways like something in your neck going wrong. What the heck y'all on? But if I make it next, y'all gonna text my phone like you're the next doggone Kanye West. Y'all dumb if y'all think I'm trying to impress y'all, son. Cause when the check's all gone, you couldn't shoot your way into heaven with the AK-47 and a Teflon on. So let's go on. I know you working hard, but just hold on. 4-day jobs to stack 7 retro ones, but won't thank God for the last breath that left your lungs. I'ma wreck your fun. The devil's dumb. My studio is the only location hell won't come. Think you grinding, but compared to the one we prepare yolks on, your bitch small like the Pepto, son. In my sleep, I would dream of singing with Tina Marie. Now I eat with people who speak of believing in me. My team of priests to the evil creeping to each of the Greece, and we can bring enough heat to defeat with GD. You see, it's easy to me. So many people need to be free, like the piece of cheese between the crease in your teeth. The TV screen is a medium. Demons seek to release a whole fleet of secretive keys to defeat the weakest of sheep ahead of my time. I graduated in your mom's class, and I ain't need no hard pass. Teacher making sure we all pass. Better hope I fall fast. See, I don't wanna be the man, cause y'all be on demand like Comcast. Been a long time since I saw cash, but my God covers the broke like an arm cast. Traded purple and gold for bull that went over their head like a Pal Gasol pass. If all's well, why stand in Mohel? When tall nails, spike hands for your bell. Don't got wealth, but my brand is known well. It's in the top shelf of nightstands and hotels. His palm catches my plans like Odell. I'm all chefing gigantic dope meals, but y'all read the 5 cans of roadkill from lost rappers buying pants with soul deals. As fans of these rappers, we just wait to eat the music they sell. Feed me. Waiting on the album like they probably cooking me some caviar, spruce with some snails. Feed me. But what they make is weak. It's just some bacon grease infused with some gel. The average human can tell, but you been sitting there so long you just got used to the smell. I got some trueness to tell. Let's take it back to where Lucifer fell. He was the most beautiful angel. His body was home to where music indwelled. It was music that made him so beautiful, spitting out bars like his tooth was in jail. Then he started thinking that he could be God. That's when he was rebuked and expelled. But before he fell, he spoke to the angels up there to confuse and compel them. One final attempt to steal glory from God. He made up the untruest of tales and said he was a god, and he blinded their eyes with his music like using a veil. And 1/3 of the angels believed in pursuing his trail. They got booted as well and got sent to the earth. Now he's like a lion just roaming and moving his tail. Now those angels are demons and they have conformed and committed to do what he tells them. He's so stupid, he's doing the same thing he did up in heaven and you couldn't tell. But instead of getting angels to earth, now he's trying to get humans to hell.
The music in your radio is big, big, bigger than you ever knew. I promise I'ma tell the truth. I say a prayer to cover you, my friend, but I can't get to heaven for you. Young people sick of death, they wanna live. It's heaviness in every school. You profit, but they still lose. So if this what you bumping to, my friend, I just got one question for you.
Tell me, why you sitting in darkness. Listening to all this belligerent garbage from these fizzling artists, penny pinching the market, cause they prohibit God when they spit to these lost men. Hiding behind the mask of attention they lost when they daddy loving line and say he be visiting often. Now they grow up mad, banging their fists in their palm, picturing guns till it manifests and fits in their palm. Am I hitting my target? Let me make it more clear for those who missing binoculars. I'm talking about different artists who mention it often that they resemble a God while attempting to mock him. All of y'all living off of what Biggie and Pac did. Might be making $1, but you missing the conscience.
Christian is wrong for listening to song.
But this isn't additional, it isn't at all. Simply diminishing all these little men mimicking God. If he came down right now, then they would tremble and fall quick. Stop gripping their wallets and kissing their daughters. I'ma keep ripping until I take a dip in my coffin. You think it's for me? Please, I don't need your attention. I'ma speak free to your demons affliction. You can bleep, but the bleep when I spit until you feel a deep need to proceed to repentance. Till Chief keeps on his knees in the kitchen to seek peace and a plea for redemption. Till these heathens are free from addiction. Throwing your CD in the seat to the fish. If you receive Jesus, believes your perdition. Disagree, tweet me, I'll grieve the decision. I was sent to decrease the diseases you written, cause Elohim sees everything that you mention. I see heat on these beats with a vengeance. My feet bleed cause I'm deep in the trenches. To these people that think I'm pretentious, who need me to appease the religious. Believe me, I don't need any mentions. I preach peace in the streets of exception. I keep breathing to reach the defenseless, cause King Jesus redeemed my existence.
You're listening to the Hawk and Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, listening to the Hawk and Bell Podcast. I am Hawk, and to my right we have...
Bellarisi!
That was the most delayed reaction in the world. But I am severely glad to have Bellarisi, a.k.a. Belafonte, a.k.a. Bell the Boss, back in the studio. Welcome back. You've been gone for a couple of weeks. So tell the people what you've been doing. Why you been missing?
Well, I took a vacation from life. No.
From life?
No, just from the husband.
Good.
No, went to visit my brother and live it up in Universal and Legoland. And then did the crop walk for hunger.
And talk about that crop walk. I introduced it a little bit in terms of the purpose, but because you were the director and you was in charge of the whole situation. So can you tell us the purpose of the crop walk, what it entails, what the money is used for, and how will it be used?
It's to raise funds and awareness of hunger, obviously. And the proceeds that are collected will not only, a portion would go locally to the food banks and to help out the community. And there's also a portion that is sent off globally for planting crops and stuff to help on a global level as well.
So that's pretty, I believe that's a pretty dope cause. They continually raise money throughout, correct?
Yes, throughout the year you can always go online, Crop Walk for Hunger, and donate throughout the year because you can do donations via online. And of course, hunger is not something that plagues folks during a single season. And it's something that continues throughout.
And I will be posting a link for the Crop Hunger for you all to go just check it out. If you don't donate, just have information, copy and paste the link on your social media platforms and just get this out. In this day and time, there shouldn't, especially in the United States, there shouldn't be any reason for an individual to be going hungry for any reason, for anything. It just doesn't make sense. And it's something that's very personal to me because I do know what it means to be legally starving. We use that term so often, I'm starving, but no, I know what it means not to literally eat for days at a time. And that's something that nobody, especially no child, should ever have to go through. So just want to put that out there. Secondly, we have a little side business going on along with 30 Parkwood, and I put it on my Facebook and just want to put it out for all the listeners. If you have, and a lot of times during the holidays or when we want to do something nice for our loved ones, we don't have necessarily the money to buy the big presents or even getting a card to present to the ones that we're thinking about. So Belle and I have a business venture, and I just put her name out there. I don't know if she wanted that, but she's going to be part of this. We have a business venture where we do voiceover work for those that you want to present an audio card, and we call it a soundogram for those that are graduating from high school, college. Maybe we want to wish them a happy birthday, a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever the case or a special occasion may be. Maybe you just want to say Ramadan, or you just want to say I love you. We can provide that for you by using our voices or using your voice and put it together with maybe a favorite song that you have. We also have the ability to take some of your favorite pictures and put it in a yearbook format so that you can present it digitally, either on your social media platform or via your email or Dropbox that you can give to somebody else. So for information and for prices, email us at 30parkwood@gmail.com. No spaces. That's 30PARKWOOD. For our military people, that's 30 Papa Alpha R. Yeah, I forgot to spell Romeo Kilo Whiskey Oscar Delta @gmail.com. And for any information and any prices, like I said, hit us up and we'll take care of that for you. If you need any samples, we'll have some up on our YouTube page, as well as I can send some to you personally so that we can make it more effective for you and for your individual situation. Now, we got the intro out the way. Before we go to break, just want to introduce to you, in today's show, we'll be discussing two topics. One introduced by James Stevens. Shout out to James, that's Tiff's husband. And he asked a question. He said, if a woman asks a man out, is she expected to pay? So we're going to answer that question, but we're going to change the topic a little bit, and we'll address it by asking, is chivalry dead? And then our second topic will be based upon a poem that was written by Jamario Lynch and Delonte Ward entitled Lady Killers. And it's a poem that pretty much addresses two viewpoints of men that are trying to get at this female. Get at the female, or propose her attention for a brief moment. If you're here for the conversation, stay tuned. We do it for the love. H&B Podcast. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that mouth. We'll be back faster than you can say, where's the Sire sauce?
You don't know what I'm talking about. It's the second time around and we going up, we ain't turning down. Like, we breaking stuff in the building. Hands up to the ceiling. Turn this music up so you feel it. Hey, ain't he good? Pull me up them all. And he ain't have to do it, no. Let me get my guts spray. 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 We in this thing that we pass out. We turning up. When I think about him, I hit the gas and I mash out. They don't know what he done for me. At a L, say give and pray. We from the same place, but I should've stayed. But he saved me. That's amazing grace. Yeah, Lord, I'm thankful. Yeah, Lord, I'm thankful. To save me from my wicked ways when I was dead and sin and unable. Now we say we ain't going back. By His grace, we persevere. Don't matter what we get thrown at us. We held by grace. We stay right here. Every time it happen, think about your goodness. I just get to clapping like, let me get my gospel pray. 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 Hey, My God so big like sumo,
He died, rose 1 + 2 more. And they stuck him in the side, and the blood that he shed, man, came out red like Menudo. Oh, now every word I spit make it useful. To the grown, old, poor, and the youthful. Man, I told y'all it's all of him, none of me. Humbly, he's all I see like pupils. He saved me, so I clap my hands. Saved me, so I do my dance. That's on the team, RPS&G. That's rock, paper, and with scissor hands. From that fear, I be backing up. Joy come up in the morning, so I clap it up.
Perfect, incomparable. Everything that describes him, my G. I'm imperfect, comparable. Everything that describes me, my G. But I'm still ready to die like B.I.G. To kick it with the king, no T.I.P. Was a trap guard, now I'm in the trap. Oh God, really about that life. Come and see by me. Hands in the air like a stick up. Wave the guard down like a pick up. You see the pain, I ain't here for the fame. I'm living unashamed. His name, what I live for. On everything I believe, I'm a G.O.D. And everything that he spoke in the B.I.B. I'm always turned up, no M.I.D. And your praise kinda young, let me see I.D. No compromise.
Every time it happen, think about your goodness. I just get the clapping like, let me get my God some praise. 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 Hey, ho, ain't he good? Pull me up them all, and he ain't have to do it, yo. Let me get my God some praise. 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 You don't know what I'm talking about. We ain't turning down like You don't know what I'm talking. You don't know what I'm talking. Going up, we ain't turning down like We breaking stuff in the building. Breaking stuff in the building. Turn this music up so you feel it. We breaking stuff in the building. Hands up to the ceiling. Turn this music up so you feel it. Hey ho, ain't he good? Pull me up them all, and he ain't have to do it, yo. Let me get my guys some Let me get my guys some praise. Let me get my guys some Let me get my guys some praise. Clap it, clap it, clap it, clap it, yeah. Clap it, clap it, hey, clap it, clap it, ain't he good? Can he have the joint, yo? Hey, yeah. Let me get my guys some praise.
Welcome back to the Hawk and Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Hawk and Bell Podcast on YouTube, productions of 30 Parkwood. I am Hawk, and to my right we have Belafonte Bellarizi Bell for president. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing a topic, and it's submitted again by Brother James Stevens, who is the husband of a friend of mine, Tiff. He's a friend of mine also. I didn't mean to separate that. But on via Facebook. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions or you have any subjects that you want us to tackle, you know how we do. Just hit me up on my social media, because Belle is on social media strike. She says I'm not getting on social media at all. So
Trump ain't getting me.
You get. Do you have a story about that? No, I don't. We'll talk about it. So you just send me a private message, or just hit me on my timeline and comment under anything that I post about a particular topic that you want us to discuss, and I promise you, we'll take it and we'll take it before the Lord and discuss this thing. So, did I go over the question? The question he asked was, if a woman asks a man out, is she expected to pay? And again, we translated that question and just put it in a bigger format and ask, is chivalry dead? So, just straight out asking Belle, is chivalry dead?
I would say no, it's not dead, but it's very far in between where it comes to light.
Very far in between.
Yep.
Very far in between. Like, I don't. You gotta narrow that down for me.
You're not gonna necessarily find a dude right off gates that's going to be brave or generous and courteous to a woman financially, time and time again, despite the circumstance.
But so if I could take a step back, so you do believe that there is a thing called chivalry, and chivalry has existed.
Yeah.
And I guess I do too. Did you get a chance to look at the history of chivalry?
No, I didn't get to look at the history, but I know it was a code that knights fell under.
It wasn't a formal code, but it was something that knights, and when we're talking about knights, we're talking about
unspoken standards.
We're talking about English dudes literally sitting on a horse with lances, doing battle, and all these things. It was a code. It was a series of codes that they brought together. As a matter of fact,
it was actually considered a military skill.
That was the primary purpose of the chivalry. And when I looked at some of the history, I'm not going to go over the exact details and timelines and dates. You all can do the history on your own. But it was one battle in particular that...
think about it. If you can con a princess or a queen,
if you can con...
generous skills.
Look how I show my lance bow. I can see that. But they had a battle that was so terrifying and so bloody that England decided to say, hey, so that we're not portraying to be ourselves to be barbarians and things of that nature, let's come up with a series of things that we're going to do when engaging in battle. And that was supposed to be like the marker of someone... the marker of someone that is honorable.
Was war not barbaric?
That's the illusion. You hit it dead smack on the nail. It was an attempt. It was a romantic, and this is the key word, it was a romantic idea of what a knight should be, or what a man of honor, integrity should be. Some of the rules, and I'll put this off a website, lordsandladies.org, and of course these fluctuate depending on your interpretation. To fear God and maintain his church, to serve the liege lord in valor and faith, to protect the weak and defenseless, to give succor to widows and orphans, to refrain from wanton giving of offense, to live by honor and for glory, and to despise pecuniary reward, and blah blah blah. There's more codes that entail. There's one thing I do have to insert there. The church did play a major role in terms of what chivalry is, but this isn't the church that we understand church. This was the Roman Catholic Church incorporating their ideals, because the typical knight was supposed to believe in God. And so there is...
Didn't they have to have like the blessing of the priest before they can go out to battle or something of that nature?
It was so... There's no other word that I can use. It was so hypocritical. The situations were so hypocritical back then. It was an illusion of religion. It was an illusion of true faith and all that. But what they were doing, this is my opinion, they were replicating Old Testament procedures, because in the Old Testament, the priests would bless the warriors before they went out. And there's even one account in the Bible where the prophet would hold up his staff, and as long as his staff was held up, they were winning battle. But when he got tired and the staff came down, they began losing. So Israel hired two people to hold literally the prophet's hand up so that they can continue fighting, blah blah blah. So
I need Israel to hire me two folks to keep my hands up when I'm working with them kids.
Yeah. So
we should do that, incorporate that in church today.
I
think we'll have a lot of praisers and shouters.
Hilarious. As a matter of fact, that would be my new job in church. I'm just going to hold your hands up. Now, how will we determine whose hands will be held up? I know. I seen you in the club last night. Hold on. Let me put your elbows up.
Well, I mean, if they're struggling to raise, some of those folks, they half raise it.
They got the half raise?
they have the I'm unsure. Remember the deodorant commercial?
Yeah.
Unsure?
No, you losing in life. You losing. You need to lift your hands all the way up. So, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't be surprised you see me on the news going around churches lifting folks' elbows up. I need you to win in life, so your hands need to be all the way raised. But so they was replicating Old Testament procedures, but were they actually living in life? Well, they were living in life according to how the Roman Catholic Church was instituting their religion and their principles in England, as we know.
Well, it wasn't so much about religion back in the day. It was more
That was my
about
point.
money, politics, government,
Right.
and the functionality of government with the consent of the church.
I had a longer speech in that, but Bill hit it every single marker. And what gets me irritated, we'll get back to the chivalry, but what gets me irritated is when people, when people attack the church, they're really attacking this particular denomination, but unfortunately this denomination really does have a big influence in church history in general.
It's all about that money.
It's all about that money. And so, fast forwarding now, a lot of people want to know, well, how did we go from chivalry that represented knights' code of conduct, their way of life? Because I believe a knight, and I don't know the Latin term or the French term that they use, but it was supposed to translate into bond and servant. So you're literally a servant of the king or a servant of the people. That's the representation of a knight. So they want to know, how do we go from that to chivalry to when it comes to opening doors and things of that nature? Well, there was a period of time where we had the romance writers, and again, I'm not a history buff in this particular way, so whoever the romance writers were during the time after, a little bit after or during the Middle Ages, they took these principles of chivalry that represented knights and they applied
Shakespeare?
I don't know if is he considered a romance writer? I don't know.
I don't know if he's considered a romance writer or whatever, but I know a lot of his novels contain traits and stuff that are reflective of chivalry and codes of generosity, I guess you could say, and how to court ladies, or what to do.
Well, so the code, speaking of, whoever wrote Don Quixote, do you remember the folktale of Don Quixote?
No.
Well, we're not going to talk about, but whoever wrote that story, he brought chivalry to the limelight, and he's the one that introduced. I only know I'm pronouncing Coyote wrong because I remember the cartoon Don Quixote, and the cartoon was based on the actual literature of Don. It was spelled Quixote, I think, something to that extent. But I called it Don Quixote because it was a cartoon.
Don Quixote.
There you go.
Coyote.
Because I knew the cartoon, but I never read the actual. How you pronounce it? Pronounce it again?
Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. That's amazing how you interpret that. That is amazing.
Coyote, Greg? Where did you get coyote?
It was a cartoon. I knew the cartoon, the Hanna-Barbera joint. I didn't know.
People, don't let your kids watch cartoons. Don Coyote. Wow.
So every time I see that word, that's who I
need to start a book for you.
I literally think about Don Quixote, but the cartoon was based on the actual literature. I knew that. I just never bothered to read the literature. I wasn't interested until I read parts of an article that referenced chivalry back to that. Pronounce it one more time so I can hear it.
Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. Because X is pronounced with the H.
Quixote.
That's not what I said?
I don't know what you said.
Okay. I said it close enough that you picked up.
That say Coyote. Don Quixote.
I know I'm not the only person. Ladies and gentlemen, help me out. Comment on our conversation and let me know that I'm not the dumbest person in the world, that y'all thought the same thing I did. Anyway, so this person, whoever wrote that storyline, that literature, he romanticized chivalry and he changed the concept of what chivalry was. And so that's how we now began. Europe actually started interpreting and they started incorporating. And this is funny. Here come the racism part. Oh, go ahead. So Europe, the aristocracy, the higher class, they're the ones that started implementing chivalry towards white women, and it did them a disservice because essentially what they I'm talking about the bigger principle. They put white women so high, you open their doors, they don't do anything for themselves, and it's supposed to be out of respect for them. But what ended up happening is that when white women tried to do things for themselves, it seemed unladylike, and that they were rejecting chivalry, and that they were rejecting the social norms.
Brutes.
That's what they were looked upon as, and so they defied the aristocracy. They defied the social order, and so. What was I saying? I didn't say that word.
Aristocracy.
Okay, yeah. Dang, today's the day, huh? I'm not gonna edit none of it.
Well, for those folks that don't know about Don Quixote, he basically, what is it? He went on these explorations, and during these explorations, he kind of, I guess, turned himself into a knight, and uphold all these knightly chivalry codes, and throughout his exploration applies them.
Oh, okay. So, and that was through the writings. Do you remember who's the author of Don Quixote?
Don Quixote, Cervantes, maybe? Cervantes? Okay. Miguel Cervantes, maybe?
Sounds like a Spanish name.
Hold on.
But going back to the white women.
Yeah, Miguel de Cervantes.
Awesome. Okay. So if they weren't, because of chivalry, they were pigeonholed and they weren't allowed to come off the pedestal that they were involuntarily placed upon. And already we see this, in theory, we see this juxtaposition where we have men who are supposed to, white men who are supposed to treasure women. Well, let's take race out of it. We have men that's trying to treasure women and show their desire and their love and their respect for them, but at the same time, they're not. If women were to reciprocate that same attitude towards men, it would be unseemly. And so there's equality is not there. Now let's fast forward to where we're at and going back to our question: does chivalry still exist? Does chivalry? I'm asking this question as we're progressing the conversation. Does chivalry does that go against equality? Is there equality in chivalry?
Is there equality?
I'm literally asking you that.
I would say yeah.
There is, really?
Because in the same token that you're looked at being a gentleman if you open the door for me, if you pull my chair out, and things of that nature, I would be looked at as the proper wife or whatever if I'm serving you at the table with a hot meal.
Okay.
Or if I'm bringing you maybe your slippers and putting them on your feet.
But see, I see that a little different, because now you're talking about the relationship between a husband and wife versus the relationship between a man and a woman. So
what are you discussing chivalry in, as far as courtship? Just strictly courtship? Or?
No, chivalry is a practice that's in society, the way men and women interact with each other.
There are people that are married in society, and there are people that are not married in society. And I think chivalry is not something that you switch a button on and off. It's something that is innate. And of course you would start these practices young, and if you don't, you're going to be in for it when you get married, gentlemen, because something of that nature of generosity is going to have to come out within that relationship to help sustain the relationship.
Well, let me present my counter argument, and I had to make a note of this in one sentence. This is the kind of drum that I'm in. Women are strong and they're independent. At least that's what they want to be. There's some that want to be that way, but still they want to feel precious and protected.
I'm gonna explain that to you. You know I like roses.
Okay.
And as far as cultivating them and whatever not, when I uproot my roses and I put them in another spot, or I bring a new one into the area, if I just put that plant, make the hole, and just put it in the hole, it has nothing to keep it firm.
Okay.
So that rose needs something to keep it firm, which is the dirt. Not just throwing it on there, but I have to compact that dirt to make sure it's not swaying left or right and all over the world when it gets a little windy, or when I throw some water on it, or whatever not, right?
Okay.
But that rose is still delicate.
Okay.
Does it take away from the delicacy when I plant it in this hard ground and make sure that it's not swinging back and forth? No.
Let me use your same example. in your analogy, can a man be a rose?
Yeah.
And who supports?
Because you have thorny roses and you have thornless roses.
So who supports the man?
Well, I would think.
Because now I'm saying this in the way I'm understanding your analogy. The woman is the flower, and the ground is the man that's the support and holds it.
No.
All right.
That's not at all what I meant.
Okay.
I meant that she needed to be grounded.
Okay.
The rose needed to be grounded with that where the dirt was compacted on the roots to keep it sustained.
All right.
Strong. Okay. But that strong hold and dirt is not going to keep that rose from being delicate, because once that rose blooms, it's still delicate, it's still frail, is it not?
Okay, so you're saying women can be strong and precious, or delicate at the same time. Yeah. There's a mixture of it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, but in terms of the added,
we gotta be strong to birth them babies, don't we? But yet we have to be tender enough to wipe a tear.
Do you? That's the question. Do you have to be tender? Why is tender?
Well, let me just yank a tear off your face.
No.
How's that gonna go?
No, because I wouldn't do that to you. You know, as a man,
it doesn't work.
I'm comfortable with showcasing stereotypical feminine traits. I don't mind nurturing people. I don't mind hugging folks. Like, those things don't bother me. Anything that's considered feminine, I wouldn't mind doing outside of.
Well, you're confusing being feminine and
that's what
having an innate nurturing point to being generous or being brave or being courteous, having piety. You're confusing two different things.
Those traits that you just ran off were traits that were given for men. Those things were not applicable to women when we talk about chivalry.
So you're saying a woman can't be generous?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
You're saying a
chivalry
can't be
that.
Brave?
Chivalry.
The code of chivalry was not designed for women, correct?
All right.
It was not designed for women, but it does not mean that women cannot exhibit these traits, and it does not mean that women cannot be at that level.
So for the sake of time, I won't counter against that. Let me ask you a question straightforward. If a woman asks a man out, is she expected to pay?
No.
After all that talk, I knew that was going to happen. So after all that talk, she can be.
I would think that in my opinion, if a woman is asking the dude out, then at least Dutch.
At least Dutch. Why is she not paying for him if she can be brave and generous?
I would not have a problem with her paying, but my thing is
the expectation.
Well, I don't know. How comfortable is the dude gonna feel if she's
Great
paying
question.
for everything?
Great question.
How comfortable would you feel if I'm paying for everything?
You have paid for everything when we were dating.
Out of your account.
No. I'm talking about when we were dating, and one of the examples that I used, I think in the very first episode, when we went to the Mexican restaurant. I didn't have any money. You paid for my meal.
Yeah, and what was the problem with that, though?
I felt, well,
I didn't have a problem paying for your meal.
Right. In hindsight, nothing. But during that time, I felt so low. I felt like it wasn't nothing. So therefore,
then, is the problem with the female that's willing to pay for everything and ask you out? Or the problem on the male side that it's a pride thing?
No, it's not. To me, it's not. Even though it is genderized in terms of the societal norms, it's not about the male and female. It's about what's expected. I was literally trained before I did.
Did I expect you to pay?
No.
I did not.
So, going back to the question.
Did I invite you out to eat?
Well, no. Well, I guess you did because it was your friends. I don't know. We all went together, so it wasn't like you and I.
And I knew before asking you that you weren't in a financial position to splurge on me as far as for dinner.
Let me answer the question, and then we'll go further. No, I would never expect. Even if she asked me out, I would never expect. Keyword. I would never expect a woman to pay for anything when we're going out. But me, I will let you know. Hey, yo, what day you want to go out? that's not a payday. So, I'm upfront like that because I'm not, I don't want to put any pretense or whatnot, and I'm not the type of dude that will.
Okay, and if she tells you, well, I'm not asking you to pay, it's on me. I've done that on many circumstances.
Yeah.
Said up front, hey, no, I even do that with my friends. Yeah. Hey, I want to go get some ice cream, my treat.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But again, when we talk about,
I think that's on the individual's part of communication.
Absolutely.
Which is huge in any relationship as far as communicating maybe how you feel about it, maybe where you're at. You just said, oh, okay, it's not a payday, so we can't do this. Well, but if she's communicated on the other side that it being a payday or not being a payday really doesn't make a difference, then where's the holdup there?
There shouldn't be any holdup. And really my big point is that I used to believe in chivalry, but I believe that chivalry never existed. I do believe that the society norms are there. For example, if you're walking down the street, what side of the street should a woman be on? And I see that meme on Facebook, because you're not supposed to be, you don't know that, but then they put the little question mark with a picture, and the woman's on the side of the street of where the cars are coming, while the man's on the inside of the sidewalk. Can you visualize it? Can you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about because I do that to our child.
Okay.
It's a sense of me protecting her, because if the cars don't see her, or don't see us coming, they're going to hit me first, and I'd rather take that blow over her.
I'm with you all the way, and you and I would switch places on a sidewalk, not because you're a woman, but because I don't want you, especially because you wear glasses, I don't want you to I don't want you to have an accident and actually miss the sidewalk and be in the way of the cars. As a matter of fact, we was at church one day in California, and there was a situation that was transpiring on the side, and you was on the outside of the aisle where you were sitting closer to the aisle than I was, and I told you and I for me to switch because I thought that the situation may have gotten violent, and I didn't want you to be in a crossfire as anybody swinging any punches. And I did that not because you are a woman, but it was because you was my wife, and as a husband, I believe it's my job to protect you. I wasn't thinking about the woman in front of me or the woman behind me. Not that they're not my responsibility, but I was thinking about for your welfare and for your benefit. As a man, now this is where I have a conflict. I believe it's my job to protect you, but it doesn't stop. So let me give you another example. Sometimes when I drive down the street and I see a woman carrying grocery bags, I get the urge to pull over and give her a ride to where she's going.
Well, I don't get the urge necessarily to help somebody as far as pulling over, but yeah, to help them with the bag or whatever. Not, I do it all the time when I'm in the grocery store and I see these elderly folks struggling to get to the top shelf,
I don't count that.
Pulling cans off or whatever. Not, yeah, that I think is just a natural humanitarian thing to do.
But I ask myself, and elderly people, I don't put them in this conversation because you should always respect your elderly. But if it was a man walking down the street carrying groceries, would I have the same urge to pull him over? And I have to check my bias because no, I will. Oh, he's a dude. He can make it. Yeah, he can make it. And so I don't pull over for the woman carrying groceries going down the street. And I might sound bad to some people, but I have to check my bias. If we're talking about,
I think about it when I see men or women, and I think about the times where I had to walk 7 miles, from my school to my house, and it was just walking, not carrying anything. So just the experience of enduring certain hardships, that's what I think about, not whether they're a male or a female.
The only thing you're discussing is the human aspect. You're not looking at it through the lens of the way chivalry is supposed to. It's specifically men doing for women, being courteous to women, putting women on a pedestal.
At the end of the day.
But that's the code of chivalry. Chivalry is not meant for women. Chivalry is meant for men. I open the door for you. I pay for your meal. That's chivalry. And so that's why when we ask...
And I think that still does exist.
But does it have to? Is that an outdated code?
I think so, because I think that men should still have a certain level of respect for women where they do treat them as this delicate flower.
How do you do that in this world? Let me bring up scenarios. How do you do that in this world where women justifiably are fighting for the right to be seen as equal? Fighting in the military, pay scales,
Well, look, me and you, we both work, right?
Yep.
I bring home the bacon. I have to cook it too.
Okay.
Right? You bring home bacon. You don't cook it.
Okay.
But you don't think I need any help sometimes? Setting up the table, cleaning off the table, or anything of that nature?
Yeah, but
it's the same thing.
Chivalry doesn't stop me. That's not, again, we're talking about chivalry. Chivalry doesn't say, no, you shouldn't do that. Chivalry doesn't stop me from saying, yo, that's a woman's job. Chivalry says that you're supposed to be staying home and I go work. Obviously, that's not the case in our scenario, in our situation. Does that make sense? So when it comes to chivalry, it's really about unequalness. It's not about equality. Yet women today, they're fighting for equality. They're fighting to not be seen and being, because I just told you, when white women at that time were put on a pedestal, they were pigeonholed because they weren't allowed to do anything but how society dictated how they should act and be. So now we're in today's time where, no, we're not on a pedestal like that. We're going to get out here. We're going to work just like we are. Well, I guess
you said that. We're in a time where we're not living the strictest sense of the chivalry code that was initially established. We're in a time where women are allowed to venture off and get high-paying jobs, go to school and become educated, own their own home.
So when I look like open the door for the CEO of my company, that's a woman. That's the CEO. She's a boss. She can open her own door.
She sure can. But how much more generous would that be if you opened it for her?
So I would open the door.
It's not about the person or a woman being able to do it for herself or not. I can send myself flowers all day. You see it all the time. I love flowers on our table.
Right.
So I always buy fresh flowers. But how much nicer and what a different feel would that be if the flowers came from you? Or if the flowers came from my father or something.
Yeah, so I feel like my conclusion is that I do things, if I was to work in the chivalry code, I do things for all people. So I wouldn't have just opened the door for women. I also open the door for men, especially older men. Anything that is applicable, open the door, the car door.
I think that overall that was the general sense of the code and what it was intended for as far as a lifestyle. This is something that you do for a lifestyle. This isn't something you do for a moment.
Yeah,
I think that's where chivalry still does exist or can exist.
So I guess what you're saying is that being courteous and respectful and kind for people, that is what we should strive for. Not for the code, but for the sake of just being human.
In my eyes, yes. I think that's initially what the code, maybe not what it intended, but I think that's what it strived for as far as demonstrating, hey, our nights are like this or like that.
So Bill and I agree, James, that there isn't anything wrong with women paying if they're asked to go out. However, I think, am I speaking for you, that the expectation still is on the man to pay for it, and if he can't pay for it...
No, not really, because I don't want you to pay for my meal if you're expecting butt at the night.
Who said it? Who said it?
Girls, play it safe. Play it safe.
That is very chivalrous of you. If I pay for your meal, there's something that comes with the meal. Dessert. No. I think it has to be communicated because we are dealing with society norms. And if she asks you out, either I expect now, from the chivalry point, I expect a man to jumpstart that conversation. Hey, I'll go out with you. On me, I'll take care of it. And if you're not in a position to do so, communicate that. That'll be the first step towards, really, if a healthy relationship, just communicate the uncomfortable parts. So
definitely, but the intentions always make a difference.
It does, absolutely. So, all right. Do you have anything else? I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our conversation of chivalry. When we come back, we're going to, I don't know if it's quickly, just briefly go over a poem that we listened to by Jamario and Delante, considering it was two men vying for the attention of one woman. And before we get back, we'll let you listen to the poem after this music countdown. And I'm saying countdown. It'll be one song and then their poem. Forget it. We'll be right back. H&B Podcast, YouTube, 30 Parkway.
Whoop whoop.
Don't touch that mouse. We'll be back faster than you can say. Worcestershire sauce.
Thank the Lord for my trials and tribulations. Thank the Lord for my pain and devastation. Know you working it out, I'm being patient. Leaning on the solid rock, he got me up top, I'm being patient. Mess with me and he'll rock your world, and I'm talking earthquaking. I want everything stole from me, give it up and go on pay me. So throw it all in the bag, taking what I never had. Lord, I need a blessing, know you're testing, I'ma lean on you, no stressing. They just wanna see me fall, back up against the wall. They wanna see me retreating and leaving the peace that you giving me. But I cannot do it, I gotta influence you, say you believe in me. So I'ma keep climbing, I gotta keep climbing way up to infinity. Up in the sky, way up I'm so high, I cannot see my enemies. Below why I elevate, help me to regulate feelings, it's not by me. Day to day, pull up to my app, take the wheel cause I just might crash. I cannot do it alone, so I hit up your phone and don't let it ring. Granny had told me when trouble is on me, just find me a song to sing. So I got the victory, enemy sick of me, I'm with the King of Kings.
Day to day when I call you right on time. Love so strong, I feel it all in my spine. Victory, Lord blowing my mind. Don't ever leave me, stay for a long time. Day to day when I call you right on time. Love so strong, I feel it all in my spine. Victory, Lord blowing my mind. Don't ever leave me, stay for a long time. Stay for a long time. Don't ever leave me, stay for a long time.
Welcome back to the H&B Podcast.
Hey beautiful, how you doing? Can you spare me a sec? Not to be rude, and these words are meant with no disrespect. I saw you walk and broke my neck and then forgot about my ex. But if you got a man, I guess I have to settle for next.
Well, I guess I'm rude if I say, even if you gotta do it, we could text. Cause I ain't there for conversations, just relations and sex. I understand you still embracing it, but take it as that, cause I ain't got time for a relationship, I'm making these checks. So take this invite to spend the night, the next day you could jet.
I hope you ain't the type of girl that like a guy like that. The type of guy that will hang you out to dry like that. But if it's cool, I would like to take you out one day to see you smile. Just in hopes to make you mine one day. You ain't gonna get that with him. He'll only be there to stress you. But when they see you with me, the queen is how they address you.
If that's his version of spitting game, I consider it lame. And please excuse my memory, I'm good at forgetting names. But we can get together and shoot a once-in-a-lifetime scene. You little pretty thing, the minute you came, I pictured your frame hanging on my wall. Hips swinging and all, it was crazy. I could tell you a lady, but you gonna be a freak for me?
I wanna explore your mind, be a geek for me. Speak to me, I ain't trying to make you sleep with me. Gently, I just wanna feel you mentally. Tasting the sweet tastes of your energies. Remember me when you need a man, not a leech. You only go come around when he trying to free.
But we can get it at any time. I know that's what you want. But you can't catch feelings cause I told you from the jump. But I like how you put on this little front. I find it attractive how you be walking around here like an actress. Girl, I know you not this. When we get back to my crib, you won't have to act like a Baptist. We could test the spring potential of my mattress. Such a spark flame between us, I could tell that we matches.
You know, even a match made in heaven can burn a house down. And I'm not the type to play games, I'm a one-woman guy. Cause if marriage ain't his aim, then he wasting your time. Anyone can tell you lies, but it's hard to be real. My arms be filled if you put your head right on my chest. Protect you like I'm a vest. I love your smile, it's the best. So come be my everything and let me give you the world. Everybody against us, it's me and you, baby girl.
Look, let's think about it. Now I ain't got no reason to lie. You really think this the age where you need you a guy? You kinda young and don't know what you want, and neither do I. I hate to say this, but it helps. Instead of looking for a relationship, you need to have a relationship with yourself. So keep it sexual with me and just keep chasing your wealth. And don't let me distract you from focusing on yourself. So what's it gonna be? You taking your time.
Getting tired of waiting, you gotta make up your mind.
I know your heart racing,
but at least give me a sign.
Cause the clock ticking and the bell about to ring. So don't let me walk away and just sell out your dreams. So who it's gonna be? Me or him?
No, that's. If I didn't ask the question, then we wouldn't be able to progress in the conversation. So it was your analogy. You expressed what you meant. Are you yawning? That's so disrespectful.
Boring topic.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Sometimes wives can be so disrespectful, Joe. I'm just telling you the truth. So we're going to discuss a poem written by Jamario and Delante called Lady Killers. And so Delante played the role. The Lady Killers. Delante was the stereotypical man that he just wants to hit, but he's not being sneaky about it. He's telling you straightforward.
Wanted a piece of the pie.
It's not even. He's telling you straight. He's being very straightforward and saying, "Yo, this is what it is. This is the arrangement that I want. It's not you. It's the physical act." Jamario plays the role of another stereotypical guy that it's all romantic, it's all love, it's not about the physical, it's about you and the internal. So, which men or man, I'm not going to ask you personally, you can volunteer if you are, Bill, but in your opinion, what type of man is women generally attracted to or drawn to?
Are women generally attracted to?
What did I say?
Isms.
Right on. Are attracted to.
For me, it was always the bad boys.
The dude that straight up said, "I just want to hit."
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
That is so discouraging. That is so discouraging because
I wasn't looking for no relationship.
That is so discouraging.
So why am I sitting here playing a romance game when it's like I don't care for all that?
So dare I say there are women out there that have the same mentality as some men, where they really just want to be told the truth and they don't mind being in situationships where they just want to be in a situation, they don't want the relationship. Mm-hmm. That is so discouraging. Yep. And so I've in my own life,
I mean, it's so much work to keep up a relationship if you're really trying to be about that relationship.
It's so much work to be in a situationship, and it's even more
really
dangerous.
Not.
Bill,
you got a phone number, you dial it when you want, and you hang up when you don't want.
That's the romantic side of it, but you're not talking about the consequences of that. There are consequences between having that type of situationship.
Like what?
STDs.
Wrap it up, folks.
Romantic involvement, because
that has happened. That can happen.
And I'm speaking personally. I can't speak because some people will fight me against this, but I feel like you cannot have sex with someone without having some type of attachment or giving something of yourself and just saying, hey, it was just about the physical. I just can't. I don't even see how one can even enjoy sex with just that part. Because the physical part, if it's just about physical, and excuse me being blunt, but you can masturbate for that. If it's just about the physical feeling, but the whole, to me, the draw of having sex, the best part of having sex is that you're connecting with someone. Whether it's real or not, it doesn't matter. But for the moment, you can convince yourself, oh, this is the storybook. You know what I mean? And
that's a lie. No.
Not that you're having storybook sex, but the fact that having contact with another human being increases to me that the physical pleasure.
I never looked at it like that. It's like, you got something I want, I got something you want, let's barter.
Dang.
It wasn't. That's too much.
Dang.
Mentally, that's just too much.
Yeah, and we're so on opposite ends of that, because I feel like it's too much to try not to care. To me, that's more work, because you have to actively make sure that your conscience is dull. You have to make sure that your heart is not involved. You got to check that. I don't care what nobody says. You're not going to convince me.
I think that you would eventually, if it goes on long enough, have moments where that does become a checkpoint, where you have to dang, am I falling for this person, or what is this really,
or the idea
to
of the
keep
person.
It in context, but it's very very easy. You don't got to think about it, I think.
So for me not to think about it at my worst, because ladies and gentlemen, I've never really been a guy that pride myself on being a player and all that. That was really never in my DNA. But at my worst, I needed help to be dead to females, and my help, I had to drink alcohol. When I drank alcohol, I didn't have any feeling. I didn't really have any worries. I didn't have any cares. And it's not to say after I stopped being drunk, all of a sudden I got a flood of emotions. But if I practice this thing long enough, now this is the part where I agree with you. If you practice a certain behavior long enough, then yeah, it does become part of your DNA. I'm saying that I'm not literally in your DNA, but practically speaking, just if you practice a certain behavior long enough, it becomes routine. And yeah, you having an expectation. Yeah, I'm just hitting this girl just for the sake of the moment.
I think that's where the problem is, having an expectation.
What do you mean?
If you don't have an expectation, then they can't let you down.
How do you get to that point where you don't have, that's not even feasible? You have something has to happen to you in order for you not to. Nobody goes into a relationship not having an expectation. None of us. You can't convince me of that.
It was never a relationship.
I'm talking about from the beginning. You didn't just come out the womb and got into having sex with someone and be like, I'm not having any expectations.
Well, I mean, for me, it was like, I'm not going to hang up my whole life to be with this individual. I saw a lot of my friends trying to do the boyfriend, girlfriend thing and holding on for years and years and months after good time, bad times. Like, dang, dude ain't even put a ring on your finger and you giving him all of you?
Yeah.
No, that was not about to happen with me.
Yeah.
I'm not giving my total self to somebody that I'm not meant to be with. And I mean, it's just, no. And
so in your mind, the next best result is, one, not to have an expectation, two, to essentially act like the dudes that you saw were treating the females. That was your resolve.
No, I just had needs and I found ways to make them.
Sure. Yeah. In the second person, in terms of the poem, the good guy, because we're not really expressing him, and this is how dysfunctional not only this conversation is, but the thinking. How is someone that wants to get to know you internally not attractive or not alluring or the first choice? How did that happen?
How is someone that what?
That wants to get to know you internally, that actually wants you and not what you're offering. How does he become the back burner? How does he become the second choice?
How does he become the second choice?
Yeah. If you prefer, I'm saying you, but I'm not you particular, but it might be just you. If the bad boy is the first dude that you want, and you know up front he's not really about nothing, he just want the physical, but this other dude is saying, no, I don't want the physical, I want you, I want to know who you are, I want to get to know you. How does that become a second choice?
I think it just really depends on what part of, or what state of your life you're in. Because there was a state of my life where I was like, dang, let me hang this up. Because I'm looking for someone to be there now full time, not part time. And because I had that desire, then I guess what you would call second place became first place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the only thing that I'm hearing you articulate, and this is for many females, is the difference between temporary and long-term thinking. The temporary resolution is satisfy my needs right now, and maybe I can dead my feelings for a moment. But then in the long run, when it's time to build and it's time to have a real relationship, the bad boy, so-called bad boy, the stereotypical guy, he's not going to be there to fulfill that part, because a relationship is more than just the physical. It has to have a 360.
You're not going to go to somebody to ask them for a ride if they don't have a car.
Right.
I mean, I think logically speaking, that would be irrational of you to think I'm going to go to this individual that doesn't have a car and ask him to take me to work.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not distressed, like not literally, but as you was talking, it just made me think about the many women who had the same thought process that you did, and how many. Matter of fact, let's go ahead. Let's make this personal. So, what type of headaches that you can discuss that you incur living that type of lifestyle, going for the first choice, the bad boy? It was all beans and gravy, and then it was time for you to move on, find a long-term relationship. It was easy.
For the most part, yeah.
You are a lie and a half. You forget when you're talking to. I'm your husband. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I know your secrets, right?
No, but I mean, for the most part, in general, it was. There were certain instances where it's kind of like if I'm in your house and I'm seeing other people's sandals or jewelry or something. Like for a moment, it rattles you, but at the same time, it's like whatever. I'm not invested, so you keep moving. But
so you see no well, at that time, you don't think there's no compromise that's going on for the individual that's deadening their feelings?
That's doing what to their feelings?
Compromising themselves by deadening their feelings.
Deadening their feelings? That they are?
Yeah.
Maybe. But I wasn't thinking about the other person, obviously.
Let's talk. Let me bring up a rhetorical situation. Let's say you're dealing with someone and you all are just appeasing your physical needs, and then you go over this person's house one day to have another session. Just so happens their parents are there, and the parents see you, and they're wondering why you're there, because you're not the same nationality, race as they are. You wouldn't feel a certain type of way, even though it's just a physical need. Dude,
how does race have anything to do with the satisfaction?
How would you feel if you're dealing with an individual that just wants physical things from you, and you want physical things from there? You go over there, try to have a session. Their parents just so happen to be there. They see you, and they're questioning why you're there because of the difference of your nationality or your ethnicity. Would you be affected by that?
No.
You would. I'm about to stop this podcast.
I'm not getting what you're getting at.
Dude.
Stop it, Greg.
Yeah. As a shorty playing in the front yard of the crib, fell down and I bumped my head. Somebody helped me up and asked me if I bumped my head. I said, yeah. So then they said, oh, so that means we're gonna switch it on them. I said, yeah, flip mode.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we had to take a quick little pause to clarify some information, because we was, for the sake of the conversation, we was going in circles. So, and I don't know where we actually left off at, but I think the ending resolution is that in the scenario that I gave,
it didn't faze me.
It did not. If the guy's parents to see you as being different or whatnot, you wouldn't be fazed by that. You can still carry on, have sex with the individual, even though you know that the person's parents sees you as other, and they really don't want you to be around.
Because I wasn't trying to please the parents. I was just getting what I wanted to get.
Yeah, like I said, and so my personal resolution, there's no way, and if I was to flip the scenario, if I was dealing with a white woman, or if I was dealing with a Puerto Rican, And I knew that if it was just physical and the parents or the loved ones or the aunties had a certain or particular opinion that was made public to about me and who I am, even though it's physical, there's no way in the world for me in good conscience that I can continue building with the individual. There's no way in the world I could do that.
But there you go, getting your mind entangled in relationship status. I didn't want a relationship with the person.
It is.
I didn't care to progress with the person. I just had relations with the person, and that worked for me.
Now, to bring a conclusion to this,
it didn't stop him from coming to me either.
Do you think that's the healthiest way now, in hindsight, towards approaching? I'm gonna say relationship.
Definitely not. But it's what I did to protect myself.
What were you protecting yourself from?
I guess getting my heart hurt, maybe.
Yeah.
Opening myself up to somebody that wasn't worth me opening myself up to.
So, the guy that's all my fellas that are in the good guy scenario, stereotypical role, there's hope for you. It's just unfortunately these females can't see it. And so you're going to get these faces.
I've had my share of good guys, too. You know, the sheriff and whatever, he tried to do good by me. I just wasn't down with all the racism we encountered just going to the movie theaters. It's just, yeah. There's good guys out there. And sometimes that's more appealing. But you have your bad guys.
So for all the fellas that's out there and they see these Facebook posts about women saying there's no good men and that, you know, fellas, it's not you. They're just not. And you just heard live the thought process of going from one viewpoint to another and how there has to be a development. Now, ladies, I'm not.
I mean, but that's not fair though to look at it like that, because it all looks like it depends on what you're looking for. If you want skim milk, you can get skim milk at the grocery store, just as if you want vitamin D whole milk. You know, or you can even go as far as getting almond milk, soy milk, whatever other kind of milk. It's all available to you, but it's your perspective and what you're looking to get.
When it comes to developing a relationship and developing that part of yourself, I don't think there is options when it comes to that. There's definitely unhealthy.
Well, the relationship I wanted to have was to graduate. So my relationship was with school.
Right, but there are consequences towards finding that individual when you focus on only one specific need. And even though we're talking about sex, you can talk about something else, because there are women out there who may not be having sex with other men. There might be men who are not having sex with women. They have other things in their mind, such as getting them for their money and getting them to pay for stuff, aka gold diggers. That's not a healthy outlook for you or for the people that you're dealing with.
We're not talking about healthy. You're saying bad boys, good boys.
So you don't think that there's a healthy and unhealthy way of approaching women and having. So in the poem, in the two scenarios, Delante is the very straightforward, I just want to have sex, and Jamario is the other one. You don't think there's a difference and it's a contradiction based on the poem of an unhealthy guy and a healthy guy? You literally just think this is just two dudes. Do you think you can have a healthy relationship with Delante?
Which one's Delante?
The straightforward one. I just want to have sex with you. That's it. You don't know what you want. I don't know what I want. So let's just get physical.
I can have a physical relationship with.
Do you think that's healthy?
It meets the need.
Do you think it's healthy?
I don't know. I don't care about healthy at that point.
We're not talking about a current, mentality in the long run when it counts. Do you think it's healthy to try to build with that individual when it's time to have a relationship?
To try to build with that person?
Yes.
No, that would just be dumb.
And so that's the end game, I assume, for anybody. Eventually, you will want a relationship. So trying to build with an individual like that wouldn't be for your interest. And even to start off, even if your expectations is not to have a relationship, introducing that into your life will have negative consequences. It carries over. It doesn't just cut off, okay, I just had a physical relationship with this person, but with you, I'm just going to give it up. No, you bring baggage with you. You have stuff and mentalities and habits that bring over into the next relationship. And now you got to cipher.
I think that's with any relationship that you're moving forward. You
So
always have crackers, whether you were with anybody physically or not. You always have that personal baggage that you're bringing.
So why volunteer and add to that? And that's what I'm saying.
Because that's not what you're thinking about at the time.
Okay. So at the end of the day, when it's time to build a relationship, it is very unwise and unhealthy to try to build with somebody that, because there's some women that will say that being straightforward or been dealing with the man that's straightforward and telling I see a lot of women look at potential. It's like, oh, he's honest and he's going to change from his ways. And unfortunately, no, that's who he is. He's literally telling you who he is. And for the guys, in terms of the females that approach you in the same manner, it's a trap for you, because she's literally introducing, I just want a situationship. And so you're putting yourself in a predicament where, yeah, I want that too. But when it comes now times towards building, and you got these, because most likely you have more than one situationship, you got to disconnect yourself from all that. Somehow you try to keep all your emotions in check and dealing with all that. And I hope I'm not projecting, of anyone. If somebody has effectively done that, man, leave a comment, and done that, you better put your hand down. That is not true. That is definitely not true. So yeah, and now, like on a private note, it kind of feels like you do want to be seen as a person that you can control your emotions on spot notice. This person was in this box, this person was in this box, and this person is in this box. Is that what you're saying? That you're able to do that?
At one point, yeah.
You're saying that now, looking back, that you was able to put everybody in their separate boxes, and it wasn't.
At one point.
And it didn't affect you.
At one point in time. That was before I met you, Boo.
I firmly disagree.
You melted
with that.
my heart.
And ladies, you see how what she's doing, right? Yeah. Like I said, I'm not offended any information about that, but I personally just don't see it for anyone. I just can't see it. I won't labor the point, but I just don't see how. And I am speaking from my own personal, with the various females I dealt with. There were connections there. And as much as I wanted to separate myself from that, it was very difficult. I needed
connections with strangers. You say hello on the street. You're like, oh, okay, hi, how are you doing?
But we're not having sex. That's a whole nother level.
No, but my point is, you make connections and you build connections, but you can also break connections.
Sex is a type of communication that is unique to who you are. And the strangers or people that I meet casually will never know how I communicate in that way. Only a select few people.
Only imagine.
Only a select few people know how I communicate in that way. And so that's why I said I don't know how you emotionally can separate yourself in that, unless you just had so many partners.
Didn't care.
Yeah, and if you just didn't care, shout out to you. God bless you. I hope you don't carry that mentality now, because I feel like if you just don't care, it's because something happened that made you that way.
Now that
I got my heart broke, so that's why I was like that.
Oh, that wasn't it for me, but I mean, I didn't want kids. I didn't want a relationship, so I didn't care.
Okay.
I didn't want marriage.
Did you, and before we close this out, you just introduced something. I did kind of want to discuss that with you. I've had that major heartbreak and I think, I can't use that example. You and I both know people who had that first love and had that first love snatched away from them, and we literally saw the consequences of this individual living that. I know what that person feels like, because my first love, I had the same amount. It seems like that first person that you love, there's like this strong whirlwind emotions when that is torn away from you, when it doesn't work out.
Well, I was the one who tore it away. It didn't, because it was unhealthy. It got to a point where it was unhealthy. I didn't care for that. So I was the heartbreaker.
You and I
was able to establish, hey, this is no longer working for me.
Right.
It's doing too much. And I was able to sever that. I didn't have a problem with that.
You and I are the complete opposite. And so maybe that's why, maybe from a communication standpoint, it's hard for me to comprehend your side, because I never desired to be that way. I never saw myself like that. I never been in a position to have that type of energy. You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't bear to do that. But you were afraid of that.
It took too much energy to try to commit to anything like that. It was too much. you know.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what's the redeeming factor of the whole episode? I'm gonna give that to you.
Bad girls, just wanna have fun, just wanna have fun.
That is not a redeeming factor of the episode.
Basically, love is what we're looking for, sex is what we settle for.
Where have I heard that before? I so agree with that. Oh, that was not yours. So you listened to the song.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Shout out to her.
Definitely. So for me, it's the difference between temporary and long term. When it's temporary, you're not able to comprehend the long term. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm distracted because my daughter has came into the studio and doing the Running Man. We're gonna let Olivia, my daughter, close us out before we get out of here. So say your couple words. Let me ask you a question. Come here. Olivia, what's love?
Love is a strong force like gravity that keeps the planets together, that could never break apart. That is so strong it can never break apart.
I don't know where you got that answer from, but that was deep, dude. Where did you get that from?
So what planet's Daddy?
Daddy is not a planet.
What planet am I? You just said it's a strong force.
She said love is a strong force like gravity that it doesn't allow you to pull away. I love that. As a matter of fact, if I understand my science right, love has a way of keeping all planets in its right perspective place. It never gets too close. It never gets too far. It always keeps a perfect relationship so that they don't destroy each other, right? Woo! Olivia preaching, Jack. Thank you, Olivia. I have nothing else. Bill, last words.
L to the O to the V to the
She's so silly.
E to the.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy this podcast, make sure to subscribe to our subscription box, which is at the bottom of the page. Let us know that you're listening so that we can continue to push out these topics that you care about. We do this for the love. We do this for the information. We do this because we just do this. Hawk and Bill Podcast. We love you. Peace.
Peace, Star Clan, peace. I saw Zena, I checked.